Whose responsibility is it to teach the children? Is it the teacher's responsibility to teach them a love of learning, or the school's responsibility to teach love of learning, or is it the parent's responsibility to teach a love of learning? President Hinckley said to a group of United States mayors, "To you men and women of great influence, you who preside in the cities of the nation, to you I say that it will cost far less to reform our schools, to teach the virtues of good citizenship, than it will to go on building and maintaining costly prisons and jails. But there is another institution of even greater importance than the school. It is the home. I believe that no nation can rise higher than the strength of its families." So what can we do to strengthen families? I'm a mom of 6 children, and they have done very well in their schooling. They've gotten degrees. They have 3 bachelors, 1 master's, one's working on a master's. The youngest of the family is a senior, and he's got a tuition scholarship for 4 years when he gets home from his mission. And even our son, who has some brain trauma, has greater ability than he should normally have because of that love of learning. There are 3 things that I would like to share that I feel are reasons why parents are the main teacher of a love of learning. Attitude is learned, and early. A home environment is very influential, and the scriptures teach us that it's the parent's responsibility to teach the children. Let's start with attitude. Our book, Speaking with Purpose, states that attitude is learned. We form them from our education and experience, it says, and from our interaction with others. That starts immediately upon bringing a baby home from the hospital. And who do they interact with most? Their parents. Whose attitude do they gain? The attitude of their parents, for the most part. Educators, in being asked the question, what can we do to prepare our children for kindergarten? Do they need to know their letters, their numbers? What should we do? And these teachers who had 20 to 35 years experience teaching said that raising an eager learner was the goal. So it wasn't what you taught them, it was what they perceived about education and what they perceived about learning, their attitude. Our words and our example rub off on them. So set a good example of loving to learn. Be persistent, teach them to be persistent and work. Having chores and responsibilities teaches them to work hard, and that's part of loving to learn, is the effort that you have to do to learn. Give them responsibilities, make learning a priority, moderate the automatic babysitter. I know it's really tempting, but TV and electronic devices are more entertainment than educational for the most part, and we've been warned in countless studies of the bad side effects of using that too much. The other thing we'd like to talk about is the home environment. That kind of goes hand in hand with attitude, teaching attitude. Anita Gurian said, she's a clinical professor of psychiatry. She says, research also shows that a home environment that encourages learning is even more important than the parents' income, educational level, and cultural background. And Leslie Pfaff from Parent Magazine says, stimulating your child's curiosity is critical to help them succeed in school and in their classroom. So what can we do to stimulate their curiosity? Play the why game. They play that with you. They are naturally curious, and they naturally ask questions. So help them discover their world. Help them look up answers to their questions. Even if you don't know them, look them up, answer them. At Christmas time, my granddaughter asked a question. She said, "Grandma, where's milk come from? Where do we get milk?" kind of thing. And I said, "Oh, well, let's go find out." Went in, sure enough, we found a YouTube video and watched the video. It showed doing it mechanically milking and by hand. And it was a fun way to learn. It made curiosity was encouraged, and it was fun. Help them have them solve their own problems. Don't always rush to help them. Make it their responsibility. Give gifts that encourage their developing more skills. Give gifts that encourage artistry or creating, building, constructing. All of those things are good to build them. Makes them feel better about themselves, plus gives them additional skills and learning opportunities. Do games that are educational games, that teach words and use of vocabulary and thought processes, teach about geography. There's lots of great games out there. Charlotte Danielson, who's foremost researcher in framework of teaching, said, "Foster students' learning by reading, helping them with homework, encouraging college, taking them to the library and cultural events." Going to the library was a very consistent thing that we've done for 30-something years of of our life. We had a lot of kids. We went consistently, probably weekly or every 2 weeks, and we just had a day that we typically went most of the time. We had so many books that it was kind of hard to carry them. We tried a few different things. We finally did a laundry basket. Get a sturdy laundry basket with 2 handles, one on each end, one child on each end, and we filled it with books. We read books at nap time before they took their nap. We read books at bedtime before they went to bed. And my children are doing the same thing with their children, reading books at nap time or when they go to bed at night. When we lived in Sweden, we didn't have a television, so we were forced to do something, and my husband read Harry Potter aloud every night. We went through the first 3 books that we had brought with us, because I brought books. I was on withdrawal thinking we couldn't go to the library for 4 months. And so when we got down with the 3rd one, and we were still in Sweden, we bought the 4th in English in Sweden and read that one to him. Talk about college. Encourage them to look into different options. Not everyone likes the traditional way. There's lots of options out there. Set a good example of reading. I didn't have time to read a lot, but I would just read to them. I would read books that were instructional, whether gardening or making costumes, all kinds of training the animals, the pets. Lots of ways to show that you were reading. The last one is scriptures, the scriptures and the prophets that guide us to teach our children. Lehi was a good example. Nephi said he was taught somewhat in all the learning of his father. So we should learn about all things. Doctrine and Covenant says we should learn about things in the earth and above the earth and under the earth and that were and are and will be to come. So we should learn. We should also teach our children not to quarrel, not to fight, to not have a mind to injure, to serve one another. Those are social skills that make learning more enjoyable. They learn how to get along and how to learn together. I've shared a few of the things that I think might be helpful to parents to increase their love of learning and for their children. Encourage curiosity and attitude of learning. Teaching a love of learning is essential for their success in school life and in their later life as well. Elder David A. Bednar said, "As we press forward in life spiritually, interpersonally, and professionally, no book of answers is readily available with guidelines and solutions to the great challenges of life. All we have is our capacity to learn and our love of and for learning."